All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Taylor Kyles here for CLNS Media, back with another episode of the Patriots Daily Podcast, powered by Prize Picks, powered by Omaha Steaks, and today powered by a couple fun topics here. We are obviously, as we do every day on the show, going to go through the Patriots injury report from practice down in Foxborough. Then we're going to look at our top 5 head coach quarterback tandems in the NFL. Taylor and I each put a list together because looking at these teams, Taylor, Patriots, Bills, Josh Allen, Drake Maye, clearly those two guys are some of the top quarterbacks in this league. Pair them up with a solid head coach in Mike Vrabel and some, we can talk about Sean McDermott in here a little bit. There's clearly a rising tide that the Patriots have in this tandem. So we're going to talk about those. And then we're also going to end the show with Taylor's 3 game keys for how the Patriots can beat the Bills on Sunday. But first, like I said, we're going to look at the injury report from Thursday, running through it real quick here. Terrell Jennings and Harold Landry do not practice. Jennings with the concussion, Harold Landry with the knee. Vidarian Lowe still limited out there today in Foxborough with the abdomen injury. Robert Spillane added with a foot. And then Christian Barmore, Brendan Schooler, Kyrus Tonga, and Jared Wilson all full go. So I'll let you kind of give the opinion here, but the one thing I take away is that given Harold Landry being off for the week and being a veteran who could get some rest, and we've seen do this before, I'm not sounding the alarm on Harold Landry being not out of practice today just yet, but what say you on the entire report?
It's really Harold Landry and Robert Spillane that pop out for me. When it comes to Harold Landry, I think he could play, but I'm still concerned because I do think the defensive line is going to be huge in this game. And while Anthony Jennings is still a very good run defender, I think that can kind of keep you somewhat steady against James Cook. I still think getting pressure on Josh Allen is going to be a major emphasis in an area they need to improve from the last game that they played. And as we know, Harold Landry is a better pass rusher than Anthony Jennings. Now, to the same token, maybe Elijah Ponder. We've already seen him get some more opportunities in that spot that Landry's typically on the left side of the defensive line. So, there's a rotation you can mix in, but, it just stinks that it felt like Harold Landry was off to a really good start this season and has been hobbled for weeks.
Yeah.
He's been opportunistic in the past couple games. I do want to give him credit. It's not like he's out there not making plays, but clearly not 100%, so that's going to be tough this week, even if he does end up playing, although there is still the possibility that he misses this weekend. And Robert Spillane, we saw him on the bike on Monday, and I remember that was a little bit odd because it seemed like he might have been a limited participant, but we weren't seeing that on the injury report. Now we do see he's officially limited. And he also was someone who didn't play 100% of the snaps against the Giants a couple weeks ago, which was something that was odd because he is usually a wire-to-wire kind of guy. They don't really rotate him in or out. He's the quarterback of that defensive front. So with Spillane, again, the run defense, it's going to be huge. And in coverage, the middle of the field got picked apart last time they played these guys off play action. So that's not insignificant. And, having a banged up defensive front against the Buffalo Bills specifically is just less than ideal, period. But we'll see if maybe, even Friday, it's hard to know whether they improved status-wise. Really, it's more if it goes backwards, that's very scary because Fridays are lighter days. But it's going to be something to monitor and to keep in mind during that game if they are struggling to stop the run or if you do see some issues covering the middle of the field.
No, definitely. And I know Mike Reese had given a little bit of insight into Harold Landry. I know he talked a couple times this week on radio that I had seen that he had spoken with Landry in the locker room, and Landry was basically like, yeah, looking forward to getting through to this bye week so that I can rest up, recover. And Reese also actually mentioned something that I thought was noteworthy, which was in one of the Patriots post-game handshake lines that Vrabel does. Vrabel was basically said to Landry, all right, we got you. We're going to get you back here now. Yeah. So basically along the lines of get your rest. We're going to keep taking care of you. And that's been Vrabel's thing throughout the whole season, right? Knowing when to take care of players and let them practice, force them into something versus not. So, again, not too worried about Landry. The one with, Spillane obviously dealing with the foot is a little bit more of a worry, just given that, we haven't really seen him on the report much this year. But, again, something to monitor. We'll keep track of it more a little bit heading into Friday. But for now, it is those two are really the worry. Again, Vidarian Lowe limited with the abdomen. Looking like he'll still end up being their starting left tackle. And then Jared Wilson, a promising one too, given that he was a full participant for a second day in a row. So That is the Patriots practice report from Thursday. Now, like we said, we're going to get into something, a little fun exercise here, a little ranking exercise. Looking at the Patriots and where they stand with Drake Maye and Mike Vrabel right now in the grand scheme of the NFL and the head coach quarterback duos. Now, we've talked about, I won't even spoil other ones. I'll mention Tom Brady and Bill Belichick because they were at the top of the top of the chart in NFL history in this regard. You look at Bill Walsh and Joe Montana and those different guys. It's obviously paramount to have a great head coach and a great quarterback. They are some of the cornerstones of a franchise. So we figured we'll look at what the league looks like right now and where the Patriots rank. So Taylor, I'll kick it off to you. Who are your top 5 NFL coach quarterback duos so far this season?
So, number 1, I've got Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. I don't think that's really too surprising. Matthew Stafford is the only guy that's playing better football at the quarterback position than Drake Maye, so he's obviously up there. And I just have so much respect for Sean McVay, being someone who not only is a fantastic leader and someone who clearly retains buy-in and gets the most out of his players, but also someone who is constantly innovating, constantly changing his scheme in ways that allow it to stay ahead of trends or not get stale, where you saw the outside zone offense that he got to the Super Bowl with, and that was, the hot thing in the NFL, where everyone wants to run outside zone. Everyone wants to be able to get all these bootlegs and, take a quarterback like a young Jared Goff type and elevate them into being one of the more productive quarterbacks in the NFL. Then it turned into, okay, we're going to add Nick Caley to the staff and learn about the Patriots downhill scheme because he had respect for that and didn't want to just be, that one-trick pony. And not only did the scheme adjust, but the personnel adjusted as well. And now this year we're seeing the way that they use 13 personnel and 3 tight end sets, which I'm surprised it's taken this long for any team to really embrace that, because we know tight ends are such wild cards that if you get good ones, it can be an absolute nightmare to defend, especially with his scheme. So those two, I don't even know that it's much of a debate that they are the best tandem in the NFL. And when I put this together, I really was trying to think about this season, because all we have to go on is this season. We can talk about the accomplishments of the past. And I think to some degree that does play a factor because, some guys like Mike Vrabel, for example, this is a new environment. But I just don't know that there are a lot of head coach quarterback tandems that you want to face less than Mike Vrabel and Drake Maye, because of how well prepared Mike Vrabel is, his understanding of the rules, how to manipulate the rules, being so on top of things that at times he's telling the officials how things are actually supposed to play out and helping them do their jobs. And obviously also the buy-in and the way that he gets this team to fight. That's been the most impressive thing about this entire Patriots season. It's not just the success, but the resilience they've shown week in and week out when faced with difficult circumstances. In Drake Maye in his second year looking like one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL and rapidly ascending and improving every single week. So I feel like those top 2 don't need a ton of explanation. Number 3, Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. Jordan Love is another guy who's playing some just downright stupid football. And Matthew Stafford and Drake Maye are doing it in their own ways and mostly from the pocket. Obviously, Drake Maye has the ability to break out and scramble and do all these great things with his legs. But really, he is a pocket passer, and that's where he wants to win. That's where the vast majority of his successes come from. But Jordan Love is, I think, one of the quarterbacks who's doing it at a very high level while doing shit that doesn't make any sense. Like, he's got the freaky arm, the mobility, and all of that. And I think you just see it on a higher basis, even though he doesn't have quite the same, not that he doesn't have the pocket prowess, but I think it's not how he performs to the same degree of a Matthew Stafford or Drake Maye. When you look at their stats, it's a whole lot of working from the pocket. Just the level of the amount of high-level throws I've seen Jordan Love make, especially out of structure, is just phenomenal. And again, he can still do it from the pocket. He's just got ridiculous arm talent. And Matt LaFleur has been one of the best coaches in football for a very long time. He did it with, the later version of Aaron Rodgers that they had in Green Bay, helped get him a couple of MVPs. And I think the progression you're seeing him with Jordan Love in this offense has been very impressive as well. And the Green Bay Packers are absolutely killing it. So want to give them their flowers. Matt McDonald and Sam Darnold might be a bit of a surprise on this list, but I'm sorry, Matt. I don't know why that says Matt McDonald.
It's Mike. It is Mike McDonald, but yes,
sorry, that threw me off.
Mike
McDonald. I mean, he's another guy that's really impressed me in his second season in Seattle. He's really helped turn that organization back around. You saw shades of it last year, and now it really feels like they're cooking an innovative defensive mind, coaching one of the hardest hitting and scariest defenses in the NFL. So they're having success on his side of the ball. And then offensively, maybe Sam Darnold has come down as no longer being an MVP candidate, but he's another dude who just makes insane plays. And while he hasn't been perfect, if Sam Darnold is on his game, you should be scared because he, especially with Jackson Smith and the Jigba and the weaponry that they have down there, he can beat perfect coverage with his arm talent, with his just ability, period. So got them at number 4. 5 was very tough for me. I was debating Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, but also DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud. And I'm still like, I wish this could be a 5A, 5B kind of situation. But I think what they've been able to do with just all the injuries that the Chargers always have, but especially this season, Justin Herbert playing behind an offensive line made out of paper and playing quarterback at an elite level just continues to get better in his own right. And then Jim Harbaugh being able to be a good leader for them. And, the Chargers are a team that have struggled in recent seasons, but it feels like, again, despite all the difficulties they've had, they've been able to stay afloat. But you could also say, I think, something similar for DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud. The biggest difference maker for me is I'd probably like to put DeMeco Ryans above Jim Harbaugh based on this season, but I would also put Justin Herbert significantly higher than CJ Stroud, who I feel has been more inconsistent due in part to, he's had some personnel struggles as well, and Justin Herbert has more experience. But I just think the gap between Justin Herbert and CJ Stroud is really the biggest reason why I give Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert the edge. But I mean, we are blessed to live at a time with a lot of head coach quarterback combinations. But yeah, that's my list. And I'm sticking.
So I like it. And before we get to mine, which I have 4 of these 5. I have one in here that's different, which we'll get to and can maybe take a look and relatively debate it in a second. But I ask, because we're talking Patriots Bills, Josh Allen is obviously Josh Allen. How close / how much does Sean McDermott pull them down in your list? Like, are they right outside the top 5 for you? Or are they closer to the middle of the pack? Like, how do you look at those guys and where their standing is in the league relative to some of these other duos?
They're right there as well. I think they're right under DeMeco and CJ Stroud. And I mean, it's also tough because Josh Allen his ceiling is so high, and it should elevate Sean McDermott a lot more. And to give McDermott credit, I feel like every season he does kind of get more hands-on with his defense late in the season when they're struggling and find solutions. And there's something to that. But I don't know. I was just more impressed by what other teams have done specifically this season. But we've talked about it this game is going to be not deciding factor, but I think it's going to show us a lot about both the Patriots and the Bills. So maybe after this weekend, that's the kind of thing where I slide Sean McDermott up a bit. But just going into this game, I don't know that I really specifically worry about Sean McDermott, even though I think he has his team well prepared. I think he does a good job making sure that defense is opportunistic and still one you have to respect, even through a lot of personnel mishaps. Like, I want to give him his credit, but he's just not one of those guys that I'm specifically worried about the Patriots playing. It's really more Josh Allen. And like, if there was no Josh Allen, I'd feel very differently about the Bills. And I think that's a pretty big part of this as well. And I mean, if I really thought about it hard enough, I could probably say the same about the Chargers.
Right.
I couldn't say that about the Texans. If anything, maybe that's a good reason to put the Texans higher. Maybe I'm not sticking to it, but really it's just kind of Sean McDermott weighing it down. Even though I do have a healthy respect for him, he's just not the game changer in my eyes that, would get him on this list.
And I look at that sort of similarly, I guess, to the Seahawks tandem where, Mike McDonald has those guys rip roaring ready to play every week, and the Seahawks are at the top of the NFC West. And Sam Darnold's solid. And like we said, he's just kind of won wherever he's been the last couple of years and has been, I guess, opportunistic, to repeat a word, with his opportunities, playing with some great players in both solid systems in Minnesota and now Seattle. But I don't see him as like a game changer, where McDonald is the game changer. And same with the Bills, where Allen is the guy and Sean McDermott is solid, but sometimes kind of feels like he's along for the ride. So that's why I don't.
Jim Harbaugh and DeMeco Ryans, like, there's a certain vibe and an attitude that you can feel that they bring their teams. I just don't get that to the same degree. And you kind of made me think about it with Sean McDermott. That's another big reason. The vibe test doesn't quite pass the
totally. All right, let me pull this up here. I got my file here, and let me find it because it was a little. We had a little mix and match. Here we go. Here's my top 5. All right, so same as you. Sean McVay, Matt Stafford at the top. Not much more to say besides the fact that McVay is a top 2 or 3 coach in this league, and Matthew Stafford is playing like one of the best quarterbacks. They've won a Super Bowl together. They've got it. Now, number 2 is where I might get a little bit of pushback, which is a crazy, crazy thing to have to be saying, given where this team was like a calendar year ago, even 3 or 4 months ago. It's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Now, the Chiefs are 6-7. They're on the outside looking into the playoffs. They need a lot of help to ultimately get there. But these guys have won 3 Super Bowls together, right? Like that, you trust these guys together, just those 2 on the biggest stage. Now, things haven't been great around them. The system, I don't want to say it's broken. I don't want to say the dynasty's dead, but it has not been great this year. I don't want to blame it all on the defense. Frankly, I haven't watched, games throughout to necessarily divvy up the blame pie for Kansas City. But I just have a hard time thinking on any given Sunday that Reid and Mahomes can't put a game plan together and can't make it a game that you're going to not sweat because they're on the other sideline. Like, I still put them individually in this group. Now, I'll get your opinion on that after I go through the rest of them, because we have Mike Vrabel and Drake Maye at number 3. I think they've shown again that they can win. I think what you mentioned with Mike Vrabel and how he has these guys playing week in and week out, mixed with Drake Maye being, a top 2-3 MVP candidate, they've already jumped into the top 5, never mind the top 3 in my eyes. And then Harbaugh and Herbert, just a tick above LaFleur and Jordan Love. I love Justin Herbert's game. I look at Drake Maye as, playing a lot more similarly to him than Josh Allen, even though he gets that comparison, just with, they're a little bit thinner. Josh Allen's more of like a Cam Newton runner. Justin Herbert, Drake Maye, different little style there. And then Harbaugh, and the way he's been able to have success at every place he's gone, whether it's, the University of San Diego to Michigan to Stanford, obviously went to a Super Bowl with San Francisco. Like he's done it everywhere, and he's just, everywhere he's been a great coach. So I love those guys. And then Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, I debated them with Ryans and CJ Stroud on the back end here as well. Jordan Love is outstanding when he's outstanding, but when he's bad, sometimes it can get pretty ugly. So I kind of worry about him. And then Matt LaFleur, same thing. He's made some interesting coaching decisions, I would say, over the last couple seasons. But all in all, the Packers are constantly at the top of the NFC North, constantly at the top of the NFC Conference, and get into the playoffs. I believe they've been there every single season with him at the helm. So that's why I rounded out with those guys. But again, Ryans and Stroud, and then Josh Allen and Sean McDermott are right there at number 6 and 7 for me. Wanted to get your thoughts on Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes being this high, and why you did or why you didn't, I guess, have them in your list.
It just feels like when you have the fall off they've had this season, while injuries obviously play a factor, it's just alarming to me in a way where when you do have so many other candidates for this list, it felt for me unfair to include them. And I asked Dan Harms, who has been on the show so many times, one of my favorite people in this business, does great work for the Draft Network. I asked him, is it fair, what is going on exactly in KC? Is Reid lost his touch? Because Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. I understand the production hasn't been there, but I think you could put him on most teams that do have, a modicum of talent. He'd be able to have success. And one of the things that Dan pointed out was that Andy Reid hasn't really maximized his personnel, which for a guy who has such a heavy hand in the offense and is the head coach and has had so much success was kind of confusing. But Dan was saying he doesn't really lean into the run game. He isn't maximizing the receivers, where it's not just getting the ball in space. He's really been putting it on Mahomes to make crazy plays, which is irresponsible for a guy with his level of experience. I think that Andy Reid should know better. So that was the biggest thing for me. Like, the defense is playing well, so the offense for the Chiefs is very much the glaring issue. I don't think Patrick Mahomes himself is the issue. So you're running out of people to kind of point the finger at here. I understand the injuries are the injuries, but there weren't a whole lot of seasons where Bill Belichick and Tom Brady weren't missing the playoffs because of injuries. They were probably limping there, and maybe there was a first-round exit here and there, but they still found ways to make it work. And obviously, it's not just Bill and Tom. Josh McDaniels helped a lot there as well. But again, it's Andy Reid's offense. So for them to not be able to find solutions or ways to adapt with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback is very alarming, and why I felt like I had to give love to another combo that was doing it a little bit better, because Andy Reid is not putting his guys in the best positions consistently.
No, it's totally fair. I still think they should be considered top 5 even without that. I put them a little high. I've been a fan of Patrick Mahomes, but to have them, have Vrabel and Maye over them this year, have LaFleur, like all these guys, I get it and I understand it. Just given that, the other thing is too, we didn't necessarily specify whether this is this season alone, whether it's currently, whether it's obviously not career, given Vrabel and Maye are so young in what they're doing, but it's definitely an interesting debate, just given where those guys are at. The fact that McVay and Stafford have been able to do it here the last couple of years, call it 5 years, I think now, and then Reid and Mahomes seemingly falling off. And I like the point too you made, Taylor, there, where Brady, Belichick, they hit some bumps in the road, every now and then, as we know, but they always found a way to get themselves into the dance, right? They always crossed the finish line, whether it was a wild card, whether it was a division win, or sorry, not a wild card, whether it was a division win with the 4 seed versus the bye, like they always got there. The fact that the Chiefs might not get there is definitely alarming. And, talking about dynasty dead, the first part of this Chiefs dynasty is dead. Now, do they have what they have to retool? Can they get, some younger and influx of talent there? That remains to be seen. But ultimately why I have these guys that high is when you have Reid and Mahomes in your building, you're going to ultimately, or you should have enough in there to find success and kind of, jumpstart the franchise once again. So interesting debate, fun exercise there for us to go through, ranking these QBs and head coach duos. We will be back in just a second, taking a look at Taylor's keys to the Patriots game coming up on Sunday. But first, I got to tell you guys about our friends over at Prize Picks, because as you know, this episode and every episode of Patriots Daily is powered by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. We got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, and so much more. And it's all happening at once. And while you're trying to figure out what gifts to buy, what to eat, what games to watch, there's one place where it always feels good to be right, and that is on Prize Picks. We have Buccaneers and Falcons tonight playing in an NFC South battle. So if you think Baker Mayfield will throw for more or less than 235 passing yards, or you think he's going to rush for a couple, you can put that and a bunch of others all in the same lineup now on Prize Picks. They also have early payouts, so if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. So don't wait. Download the Prize Picks app today, create an account, and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS on Prize Picks. You get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, Patriots Bills. Back to where the I guess the attention should be in this one, because a big game this weekend. We've talked about it. AFC East on the line, all that good stuff. Patriots can win the division for the first time since 2019. Taylor, you have 3 game keys in order for the Patriots to come out victorious in this one. Your first one is blitzing the crap out of Josh Allen. Tell us why that should help the Patriots come out in this one.
So one thing that coaches have made very clear, and I agree, is that there's not a perfect formula for Josh Allen. He is maybe the greatest dual threat quarterback that this game has ever seen. He's very smart, and he's got a pretty good offensive line. So it's not like just blitzing him is the key, right? You're not running cover 0 10 times a game. You're not sending 6 every other snap. But I do think in critical moments, they should lean towards aggressiveness and not be conservative. Because the last time these teams played, the Patriots blitzed Josh Allen about 10% of the time. And that was like sending 5 or more. That was one of their lowest rates of the season. I believe the lowest that Josh Allen has seen all season. Now, against a quarterback of his caliber, where you do want eyes on him, right? You want to be able to make sure that he's not getting outside the pocket. You want to play safe. And also, because maybe he doesn't have the best weapons, you're saying, hey, if you have no one to throw to, maybe our guys can capitalize. I get that. But there were way too many times, and Mike Vrabel talked about this, of like, you want to keep him in the pocket, but he's also comfortable in the pocket, where he'll just pat the ball, do this, do that, and then somebody gets open.
Guys around, yeah.
Exactly. And when you look at the explosives and a lot of the key conversions for the Bills, a ton of them were plays where Josh Allen had like 4 more seconds to throw, 3.5 more seconds to throw. A lot of those were play action, especially under center, where the Patriots just weren't getting nearly enough heat when they decided to fake runs. I think the solution to that is unconventional rusher. So if we're talking about specifically under center play action, maybe that means you use a 5-man front. you send the edges out to drop into coverage, and then you blitz a linebacker. So that way, Josh Allen doesn't have the wide open pocket that he can exploit. At least you're putting some type of pressure in his lap. Or it could be a blitz from a player with a reduced alignment. If that's Carlton Davis, kind of close to the line of scrimmage. We saw them blitz, but it was more in passing situations. I think Carlton Davis blitzed like twice in that game against some spread looks. Maybe you blitz him so that when Allen turns his back, he turns back around and there's a defender already in his face because they weren't necessarily expecting it. So I just need more pressure in those under center moments. But also, if it's third down and you're expecting a pass, I don't want Josh Allen to have multiple lanes where he can escape from. Rushing 4 is fine, but there are 6 gaps on the offensive line. So there's usually going to be 2. Sometimes gaps can be funky the way they work out, and there's that 1. But there were way too many times I noticed where there were gaping holes for Allen to not just run through at times, but also just maneuver to find time and let guys get open. So you can't let this guy get comfortable. And one thing I spoke about with Anthony Prohaska on my Bills preview with him is going to drop tomorrow, so make sure you look out for that. But he's mentioned, and we saw this when Mac Jones upset the Bills, and the Bills offense like totally in disarray back in 2023. A lot of it was them sending blitzes that threw off the Bills offensive line. As talented as they are susceptible to some miscommunications if you're able to kind of disguise what you're trying to do. So maybe you get some free rushers because one-on-one, they're very good. If you can do that early, send some blitzes, maybe get Josh Allen skittish at the beginning, you might have a chance to, one, obviously throw them off early, but then get something in their head that you can capitalize on as the game goes by. So I just think they need to make Josh Allen way more uncomfortable than he was in the last game. And considering the fact you don't really need to respect the Bills receivers, because if you have a cornerback, you can actually be aggressive and lean into that approach. And the way that Mike Vrabel talked about it as well, it sounds like I would just be surprised if they take another conservative approach to Josh Allen after what he saw on tape last time.
Yeah, that was going to be kind of my question / point here to it is, when you talk about blitzing a elite quarterback, oftentimes they're going to have the answers, right? Because they know where you're coming from. They're going to fill in the gap. They're going to be able to move elsewhere and find their answers, etc. But the lack of pass catching talent on this team makes it feel like, even if he does beat the blitz, if you will, it might be a 2-yard game and you get 2-yard gain, 3-yard gain, and you still contain these guys and keep them in structure. When the Bills, granted, they're great in structure and out of structure, but they thrive when Allen is, on the move, doing crazy shit and making plays happen and running 40 yards for a touchdown if he has to, or putting the ball on someone's back hip in coverage for a touchdown. But the receivers they have this season, it doesn't feel like he's going to have as many answers to the test if you make life, a living hell for him and blitz him. But exactly.
Remember the plaster they played was fantastic.
Right. So it feels like I'm with you. This seems like, an answer to the test on offense, which we'll also get to, another way they can stop these guys on that side of the ball as well. But first, your second game key is the Patriots finally getting their run game going on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, this is going to be huge. Now, I think Drake Maye can have a day against this Bills secondary. I think they're going to try to disguise and throw him off. But based on what we've seen, that's not going to do a whole lot. And so there's been a lot of talk about Christian Benford potentially shadowing Stephon Diggs. Now, he's been in a boot. So the pass game should be okay. If he plays, if he doesn't, not great when on a Thursday your top cornerback isn't fully healthy, and especially when it's something involving the lower body. So I'm confident that the pass game can do its thing, and it's a big reason why I honestly, if the Patriots play to the standard they did against the Giants, I think they should win by, I would say, 2 scores. And I'm not saying that's like 14 points. I'm saying maybe that's like a 9 or something like that, just because I feel like where the deficiencies are for the Patriots, where their disadvantages is probably the run game, both sides of the ball. But they're probably better in the pass game on both sides. But I think the real difference maker and what can make this game less competitive than I think a lot of people think it's going to be is if you're able to run with any level of consistency. I'm not even talking about, you just ran for 200 yards against Buffalo. I'm saying, all right, you got to 100 between your running backs, and maybe, it's 4.3 or something like that, but you did it enough that you kept yourself on schedule, maintained a lack of predictability, and didn't put yourself behind the chains. If they can do that and literally just have a respectable run game against the Bills defense that's been susceptible to the run, they've been better than they were earlier in the season, but it hadn't been perfect. Now, granted, Patriots couldn't run for a lick against them the last time these teams met.
Right.
But the team has talked about it, and I think you can see on film, they're getting incrementally better. Are they going to be great at it by season's end or, into the playoffs if they ultimately do make it? I don't think so. I don't know. But I do think they can get to a level like between Mike Onwenu and Morgan Moses. If you can just really rely on those guys, you should be able to find some consistency, but you got to be on your P's and Q's. And those combos and climbs to the second level need to continue to get better. So while I don't think this, the run game being good is a requirement for the Patriots to have success, because again, I expect a pretty productive day from Drake Maye, it would make things so much easier if they can keep from being predictable and really keep Buffalo on their toes. Because they may not be the most talented defense, but they do have some good players. And if they are able to disguise and truly keep you on your toes, it's just not a position I think you want to be in, considering if the game's close, Josh Allen can turn the momentum at any moment.
Now, you talked about Drake and being able to, take advantage of this Bills secondary. They are one of the better pass defenses in football to date. I believe they're allowing the second fewest passing yards per game. Drake is still looking for, to be Mr. 300 here. He still has not broken it. We feel like we talk about it every week.
I saw somebody actually bring that up as a point. I think it might have been a joke, but it came up, and I was just like, I don't know if people realize he has 3 or 4 games where he was like penalty or like something dumb away from easily clearing 300. And I hope this would be so perfect. This would be a perfect.
It would be. It would help the MVP candidacy. It would just add another, punch into the Patriots are back conversation, winning the AFC East again. I know we're talking about the run game, but when you look at and I did it again today because I wrote about the Pats a little bit today for SI, and looking at just Drake's game log of the completion percentage and the 250-ish yard games, 13 straight times. He's been insanely consistent. It's almost like, just get to 300, and not that it's on him, but you want him to get there eventually. And I do wonder if this ultimately becomes the day. Do you think? I don't even know if Buffalo's had a 300-yard passer on them this season. Do you think Drake can get there on Sunday?
I do.
Okay.
I think again, if they can get the run game going and they can pull some guards, like the Bills have been banged up at linebacker. Shaq Thompson's played well for them, but I still think that misdirection is the way to really exploit this Buffalo team. And I just don't know, how did the Bills stop them outside of the Patriots stopping themselves? I really don't know. You got Trey White and Maxwell Harrison that are rotating. Slot quarter. Teron Johnson. Oh my gosh. Terrell Bernard and Teron Johnson is.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought you were going Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, no, Terrell Bernard's been banged up, but Teron Johnson's not the player he was, and even when he was better, he's had troubles against Demario Douglas. And I also think the tight ends can do a lot of damage as well, or specifically Hunter Henry. But we know Austin Hooper. Every once in a while he's good for a crazy catch himself. So yeah, I just don't know how they have success if the Patriots don't just do it on their own and cough up the game.
That's a good bold prediction. It's like a 35-plus yard Austin Hooper reception, because they happen so randomly, and maybe that happens. Maybe that happens on Sunday. We'll see. But I'm with you. The Patriots, they're only going to help their pass game that much more if they can get their run game going, and they're really going to want to rely on that down the stretch if they want to have more than just regular season success to close out this season. We will get to Taylor's final game key here in just a second. But first, I got to tell you guys about the meats. Omaha Steaks. Check it out on screen. From holiday hosting to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivers the perfect holiday treat for you and your family, and the best steak experience. You can gift those family and friends USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort meals, and so much more right now during Omaha Steaks Sizzle All the Way sale. You can get 50% off site-wide right now at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off the top with code PATRIOTS at checkout. It is truly holiday magic made easy. And if you place your orders by 6 p.m., that is 24 minutes right now. I know I'm timestamping it for the live viewers. If you're listening after, you still get same-day shipping when you place orders before 6 p.m. Eastern time, so don't miss out on it. Save big on gourmet gifts today and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide, again, during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for our listeners, get an extra $35 off the top using code PATRIOTS at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Again, that is omahasteaks.com. Use code Patriots at checkout. Sorry, I just got to take in these steaks a little bit more before I go on screen. Look at it. There we go. All right. Again, that's Omaha. You guys know them. Code Patriots at checkout. $35 off the top. 50% off during their Sizzle All the Way sale. Cheap meats over there at Omaha. And we'll help you out with that promo code Patriots at checkout. All right, Taylor. Final game key for the Patriots to win their 11th straight and take control officially of the AFC East once again. For you is shutting down running back James Cook.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the
hardest one
for me. Yeah, it's going to be by far the hardest. So when I thought that the Patriots, nice.
Sammy Knox, what's up, my friend?
Love you, buddy.
Code Patriots.
Code Patriots. Omaha Steaks. Love you, pal. Back on track. James Cook.
Wait, this is hilarious.
Okay.
Someone has a similar last name to me. I just looked at the comments.
Oh.
Nice name. I'm in trouble.
I like how he spells it better. I'll be honest.
I'll take it. That's fine. I'm not going to answer actually quick fantasy question. I'm in trouble at quarterback this week too. Play Justin Herbert. That's my answer.
Herbert.
All right, continue. Sorry. Game piece.
No, but this is the key to the game because, like I said, I don't think that the Bills have an advantage in the passing game on either side of the ball. So if there's one advantage, I think the Patriots, because we know that their run game hasn't been good. It hasn't been good all year. The run defense, statistically, since week 10, has the lowest success rate in the NFL, or in terms of being able to actually stop opposing offenses. I think it's like 50% of the time the offense has success. In the NFL, that is very bad. Now, it's so jarring because they went from one of the best and like a historically good unit through their first 9 games. So when we've asked the coaches about this, they tend to point to, the game plans, we're not getting gashed. They are actually. I think they're giving up explosives at one of the highest rates in the league as well. But they don't seem to think it's a big deal, which fine. You're winning games. Your pass defense has gotten much better. There's probably been some kind of trade-off. I can stomach that. This is the game where you very clearly need to stack the box. You need to be able to dent the line of scrimmage and stop James Cook before he gets going. This is the game where you prove that you can really stop the run and defend it when you need to. And we haven't seen them do this in weeks, even though other teams have had success running the ball and probably were better running. And, I think that it's a bigger problem than they've let on. Anyway,
sure.
Shut me up. This is your opportunity. I understand not having Milton Williams is significant. Kyrus Tonga should be back. He's going to be healthier. I think between Kyrus Tonga, Corey Durden, Joshua Farmer should be playing. Christian Barmore's obviously been fantastic all season, or really he's come on, especially lately. You should be able to stop this Bills run game, or at least contain it. I think you need to shut it down, and that's why I would have it as a key. But at the very least, you got to contain it and keep James Cook from ripping off the explosives. If he's averaging 4 yards, you know what? It is what it is, as long as, it's not getting them all the way into scoring territory where we know this defense has struggled. But James Cook is the person you have to stop outside of Josh Allen, obviously.
Let me ask you this then about that before we close up and get out of here. Because I mentioned I wrote about this game for SI earlier, and I was thinking about James Cook and how he can, again, beat this Patriots team. And they've been solid against the run for the most part. They've let up a little bit. And we mentioned it on the show a couple weeks ago, how solid they've been against running backs out of the backfield. I think they're only allowing like 20-something yards per game from targets out of the backfield. I looked it up earlier. I don't have the number directly in front of me right now. But with Buffalo's wide receiver corps being so average to poor right now, if they can cover him up, if Allen can get the ball to James Cook in space or out of the backfield, do you worry about him as a pass catcher as well? Or does their stoutness against running backs, again, out of the backfield and running backs as pass catchers give you more confidence in that?
I think that Ty Johnson would probably be more dangerous, and now he's back and he's healthy, so he's really the guy. And sometimes they'll get James Cook involved on like mesh. If he's in space, he's scary, period. It doesn't matter how he has the ball. I think if man coverage became a problem, you just switch to zone. Like the Bills off pass game would have an advantage, I think, if the Patriots leaned into man and they said, all right, we'll throw to our tight ends and our running backs. That would scare me, but I also think the Patriots could switch up and say, okay, we'll play cover 4 and we'll put 2 safeties in the middle and force you to throw outside the numbers to our cornerbacks anyway. And we'll play with good spacing. So if you do try to get your running backs involved, we'll rally and tackle. So I don't think, I think that it's a good question. And it's a significant factor, but I think the Patriots can adjust and mitigate that because the Bills' just wide receivers aren't good enough. And it's really hard to beat a team like the Patriots and what they can do between Josh McDaniels, Drake Maye, and their supporting cast if you're really just trying to funnel it to one or two positions.
All right. Well, those are Taylor's game keys. It is blitz Josh Allen. It is get the running game going, and then it is stop James Cook as well on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously easier said than done against a solid Bills team, but Patriots, again, winning 10 in a row, fresh off the bye, should be well-equipped to do it. We also ranked head coaches and quarterbacks in this show, the top 5 in the NFL. So if you are tuning in late, make sure to rewind. Whoop, I just hit my mic. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. Make sure to rewind and go check out our rankings. We'll also tweet those out as well so you can give us crap for where we have these guys listed. Last live show of the week. However, tomorrow, Taylor has an interview dropping with Anthony Prohaska of Cover One, breaking down this game even further. And he also has an interview with Patriots wide receiver Kyle Williams coming up tomorrow on the channel. Great screenshot from our guy Amit in the back there. Make sure to check out that as well. Taylor's been doing a great job interviewing these guys, and a good one coming up with Kyle Williams. Taylor, can you give us any preview of what Kyle Williams had to say in your one-on-one?
So he grew up modeling his game after Stephon Diggs. Like I feel like a lot of people in that receiver room. So I got to learn also what it's been like working with obviously somebody that he grew up kind of improving. Asked him about the worst he's ever cooked a defender. That was pretty fun, and what he actually said when he won, what the defender said when he run the route. And also, this was when I was excited because I know he's a big fast food guy. I asked for his dream combo meal. I gave him a sandwich, fries, a drink, and then I gave him one bonus, but he split it in 2. And who was I to say no? So if you want to know about Kyle Williams' ideal dream fast food meal, check out that interview.
I like it. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Again, dropping here on Patriots Press Pass tomorrow on the channel. So make sure you keep it here. Check that out. Rate, review, subscribe to Patriots Press Pass. As always, we are loaded up with pods, with content, with bonus videos, all that good stuff. We actually have our friends Alex Barth, Brian Hines coming up in just a few minutes. I believe they're starting at 6 o'clock or 6:30 here on the channel. So make sure you check that out and keep it here for another fresh episode of the Patriots Beat podcast. So that is going to do it for us here. Again, ranking the head coach and quarterback combos. And we hit Taylor's game keys for Sunday's contest against Buffalo as well. It's a home game, so we'll have pregame from the stadium, postgame from the stadium on Sunday. So again, make sure you keep it here and stay checking us out on the channel. Until next time, Taylor, good stuff. Thanks as always. And for everyone watching, we appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you very soon. Peace out, everyone.